Hey everyone, it's Nikita Melko here, and recently I thought that I would do something completely different. So I went on the social media and I looked for some indie fantasy game projects that are currently in development, and I thought to myself, if I see something interesting, maybe a picture or a video, then I would write some music for it. So I went on Twitter and I found this game called Codex Lost. And it's written, it's an open world, Souls-like action RPG, which sounds interesting to me. And I found this video of a battle on a bridge between the wizard, who is apparently the main character, and some headless creature. So I thought, it's a perfect opportunity to write a dark fantasy battle track. So, here's the project that I came up with, and before we begin discussing it, I just want to mention that if I was actually writing for the game, I would make this track a bit longer, and I would say that 2 to 3 minutes is the perfect spot for fantasy battle music, because if you write a short track and you have this looping main part in there, it will very soon get boring, it will get too repetitive, and you really want to avoid that with battle tracks. On the other side, if you write too long of a track, for example, I'd say 5 minutes is already a bit too long. There's the question if you can keep the intensity for that long, because listening to a piece of music that keeps being intense at all points, and especially if it's a long track, it can get quite annoying over some time. So I would say from 2 to 3 minutes is the perfect spot for battle music, but if you can make it longer and keep it interesting, go for it. But for the purpose of this video, I just wrote music for the length of the video, which is about 40 to 50 seconds. So yeah, let's get into it. So even though it's a short track, I still try to keep the structure that I would usually write for the battle music. So we have the intro, we have the main part that can be looped, and we have a short outro for when you're done with the battle. So first let's listen to the entire track, and then we're gonna discuss it in detail. So you may have already noticed how the track is structured. We have this intro here. And I just wanted to build this tension because you see in the video the character is approaching this headless monster on the bridge, and I wanted to build the suspense before we go into the battle. So I started with some string effects, like here, for example. And then I added some rising movement on several instruments like cello, bassoons, some brass instruments, and also woodwinds, as well as choir. Then there are some instruments that are just keeping this movement going, like for example, accented pianos here. There are also some percussive instruments, there are some strings that are playing the same thing as the piano, just for some movement before the main part. And then we go into the epics. So on this part I added even more movement on the strings. So if we just listen to the short strings isolated. woodwinds are just there to layer the strings, whereas the male choirs are just providing this kind of support for the entire piece. And another aspect that is very important on this part is the percussion section. And as you can see, there are quite a lot of instruments involved here. And it's a thing that you will commonly see in battle tracks, because even if you don't hear all of the percussion instruments, you will still feel them, and you need that energy pumping in the background. So let's just hear percussion isolated from the track. Here I also added some cimbalom to layer the violins, just to give it some definition. Let's hear it. And now with the violin. And then the last instrument that is very important to this part is the organ. I added it because I wanted to give it some sort of a churchy feel, but at the same time, I feel like organ is a bit overused nowadays, so I didn't want to make it the main instrument, but I put it in the background to just fill out the space. So, and then we move to the next part, and this is the part that I'm really proud of on this track, to be honest. I wanted to add some dramatic layer to the battle track, and I wanted to add some melody, even though it's still a very intense track. So what I did is I moved the highlight to the choirs, as well as added some harmonies on the strings. So let's hear the choirs first, and then I will add different elements to it. And here is how it sounds in the context of the full track. And as I mentioned, there are also some string harmonies in there to enhance this dramatic melody of this part of this track. Let's hear it isolated. Then I also layered it with the woodwinds. They play pretty much the same melody and the harmonies as the strings. I did it just to give it another layer, just to fill out the space and also give some color to the strings. We also have some brass instruments there, pretty much doing the same thing, and the ensemble woodwinds are layering the short strings, again just to fill out the space and give some movement to the track. Again, there's a lot of percussion on this part of the track, so let's hear it isolated. Now we move to the final part of this section of the track. Here I wanted to bring back intensity, and I also wanted to catch you off guard a bit, keep it interesting, so I decided to place the accent on the second beat and not the first one, to switch the rhythm a little bit, and I achieved that by layering some sounds like brass, choirs, percussion, and woodwinds in their short articulations on the second beat, whereas the rhythm keeps going on the other beats as well. So as you can see, there are some accents on the choir. Let's hear them isolated. Then let's add some brass in there. And let's add the strings. Now let's move to the outro track. It's quite short on this one, but it's perfect to finish the battle. So here's how it sounds. This outro is a combination of several sounds. It has a downer and a riser at the same time, which sounds like this. It has some string clusters, as well as some male choir risers. And to finish it up, there is a sub boom at the end and also a tubular bell hit. So this is pretty much it for the track. I will now let you listen to the entire track with the video from the game. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, please feel free to write it in the comments. I would really appreciate a follow and a like or a dislike if you really didn't like the video. I hope you have a great day and I see you soon. Cheers.